Collins came home for just 2 months of rest. He never planned to fall in love. But one woman, one marriage, and one shocking accusation would turn his peaceful return into a family storm no one saw coming.
Hi, besties. This is African Tales by Chinwa, breathing life into African tales.
After 5 long years in America, Collins finally returned home to Nigeria. The moment he stepped out of the car, his mother rushed into his arms, overwhelmed with joy. "My son!" His father was equally happy, joking that America had returned Collins looking like somebody's chairman. Collins had changed. He was older, more confident, and visibly successful. But being back in his family compound made him feel like the same son who had left years ago. His mother immediately began fussing over him, insisting he had become too thin, and revealing that she had prepared enough food to feed the entire village. Surrounded by his parents, familiar memories, and the home he had missed for 5 years, Collins finally felt at peace. He had returned to Nigeria for one simple reason: to rest and escape his exhausting life in America for just 2 months. "Go and freshen up," she told him. "Hurry up and come down for dinner. I'll set the table now." "Yes, madam," Collins replied playfully. A short while later, Collins came downstairs looking relaxed. The dining table was already set with jollof rice, fried plantain, chicken, moi, and pepper soup. They sat together and began to eat. For a while the conversation was light and cheerful. "So tell us," his father said, "how is life in America?" Collins smiled. "Busy, Papa, very busy. Sometimes you wake up, go to work, come back tired, sleep, and before you know it, another year has passed." His mother shook her head. "That is exactly why I told you to come home. A person cannot spend his whole life chasing work." "I know, Mama. I needed this break." His mother glanced at his father. Collins noticed immediately. "What is that look?" His father smiled and continued eating. His mother cleared her throat. "My son, since you have finally decided to rest, there's another important matter we need to discuss." Collins slowly dropped his spoon. "Mama, please, I just got back." She ignored him. "You're not getting younger, Collins. Your father and I have been thinking about your marriage." Collins leaned back in his chair. "Ah, Mama." "What is Mama?" "I have not even settled down properly." His father joined in. "Your mother is right." Collins looked at him. "Papa, you too?" "You're our only child," his father said gently. "We want to see you settled. We want grandchildren running around this house while we are still strong enough to carry them." His mother nodded eagerly. "And I already have someone I want you to meet." Collins stared at her. "You already have someone?" "A very good girl, beautiful, respectful, and from a decent family." "Mama, I didn't come home to look for a wife." "You don't have to look. I have already looked." His father burst into laughter. Collins shook his head, picked up his phone, and stood. "Where are you going?" his mother asked. "To finish unpacking." "You can unpack after we finish talking." Collins smiled. "Exactly why I'm going now." Before she could stop him, he quickly walked upstairs. His mother watched him leave and smiled knowingly. "Let him run," she said. His father looked at her. "Ah, my son is a grown man now." She smiled. Collins had only 2 months to spend in Nigeria, and his parents were determined not to waste a single day. Every morning his mother found a new way to bring up marriage. "Collins, remember you are not staying here forever." "Mama, good morning to you too." His father was no better. "You can laugh now," he would say, "but your flight back to America will not wait for you." Collins always found a way to escape. As far as he was concerned, he'd come home to rest, not to find a wife. But one afternoon, everything changed. Collins drove to one of the biggest luxury salons in town to get a haircut. The building was spacious and beautifully furnished, with separate sections for men and women. He had barely settled into the barber's chair when someone in the female section caught his attention. A young woman stood behind a customer, carefully styling her hair. Collins looked once, then again. There was something about her. She was beautiful, but it wasn't only her beauty that held his attention. It was the quiet confidence with which she worked. She smiled as she spoke to her customer, her hands moving skillfully through the woman's hair. "Boss, should I reduce the front more?" The barber's voice pulled Collins back. "Sorry?" The barber smiled. "I said, should I reduce the front?" "Oh, yes, just a little." But Collins's eyes wandered toward the woman again. Their eyes met briefly. She looked away. Collins smiled to himself. By the time his haircut was finished, he paid and walked outside, but instead of driving away, he sat inside his car. He didn't even understand what he was doing, yet he waited. Nearly an hour later, the salon doors opened. The same woman stepped outside. Collins immediately sat upright. She began walking down, the handbag over her shoulder. He started his car, drove slowly beside her, then lowered the window. "Excuse me." She stopped cautiously. "Yes?" Collins stepped out. "Hi. Sorry if this seems strange." She looked at him carefully. "You were inside the salon." Collins smiled. "So you notice me too?" "I notice customers." "Ouch." She laughed despite herself. "My name is Collins. Juliana." "Juliana," he repeated softly. "Beautiful name." "Thank you." He hesitated, then decided there was no point pretending. "I've actually been waiting for you." Her eyebrows rose. "Waiting for me?" "Yes." "Why?" Collins laughed nervously. "This is going to sound ridiculous, but since I saw you inside that salon, I haven't been able to get you out of my mind." Juliana folded her arms. "You don't even know me." "Exactly. That's the problem." She laughed. Collins smiled. "I'd like to change that. Can I have your number?" Juliana studied him for a moment. "You waited almost 2 hours just to ask for my number." "Was it that long?" "It was." "Then please don't let my 2 hours be wasted." Juliana shook her head, smiling. Finally, she called out her number. Collins saved it immediately. "Thank you." "For my number?" "For making the wait worth it." Juliana walked away, still smiling. Collins returned to his car and stared at her contact on his phone. Juliana. He started the engine and drove home with a smile he couldn't hide. The next morning, Collins was relaxing in the sitting room when his mother called him. "Collins, come. I want to talk to you." He looked up suspiciously. "Mama, if this is about marriage again..." "Just sit down." Collins laughed and sat beside her. His mother wasted no time. "Have you thought about the girl I told you about? My friend's daughter?" "Mama, I told you already. I'm not interested." "You haven't even met her." "And I don't want to." His mother stared at him. "Why are you so stubborn?" Collins hesitated, then smiled. "Because I met someone." His mother's expression changed immediately. "You met someone? When?" "Yesterday." "Yesterday?" "Mama, lower your voice." She leaned forward. "You met a woman yesterday, and today you are already looking like this." Collins laughed. "Looking like what?" "Like somebody who has found his wife." His smile gave him away. "I don't know, Mama. There is something about her. I really like her." His mother frowned. "Collins, marriage is not about seeing a beautiful face and losing your senses. Who is she? Who are her parents? Where is she from? What does she do? What kind of family raised her? Mama, I just met her. Give me time to find out. Exactly my point. You know nothing about her. I know enough to want to know more. His mother sighed. You have only 2 months here. Don't let excitement push you into something you'll regret. Collins reached for her hand. Mama, trust me. I'm not a child anymore. She looked at him for a moment. Fine, but open your eyes. I will. Later that afternoon, Collins went upstairs and called Juliana. She answered after the 3rd ring. Hello? Juliana. She smiled at the sound of his voice. So you actually called. Collins laughed. Were you expecting me not to? I don't know. Some men collect numbers as a hobby. Well, I'm not some men. That's what some men would say. Collins laughed loudly. I can already see you're going to give me trouble. Who said I'm interested in giving you anything? That silenced him for a second. Juliana laughed. I'm joking. Please don't do that. My heart is still young. Their conversation flowed easily. They talked about work, family, music, and the little things they enjoyed. Before Juliana realized it, nearly an hour had passed. She was surprised by how comfortable she felt talking to him. So, Collins finally said, when can I see you again? Why? Because talking to you on the phone isn't enough. Juliana smiled. Saturday evening. Dinner? Let's start with somewhere simple. Deal. After the call ended, Juliana stared at her phone, smiling. Across town, Collins was doing exactly the same thing. Saturday evening came faster than either of them expected. When Juliana walked into the restaurant, Collins forgot whatever he had been thinking about. She wore a simple emerald green midi dress that hugged her figure elegantly without being revealing. Her hair fell softly around her shoulders, and a pair of delicate earrings completed the look. Collins stood up. Wow! Juliana laughed. Is that your way of saying hello? I'm sorry. Hello. And wow. Collins himself looked effortlessly handsome in a fitted long-sleeved shirt, dark trousers, and polished shoes. His beard was freshly trimmed, and the soft scent of his cologne reached her when he pulled out her chair. You clean up nicely? Juliana teased. So you noticed? Don't get too excited. Dinner began with laughter, but soon their conversation became deeper. Collins told her everything she needed to know about him. Then he became serious. Juliana, there's something I should tell you. She placed her glass down. I'm listening. I don't want to waste your time. I'm at a stage where I'm looking for something serious. I'm looking for a wife. Juliana blinked. That was fast. I know. Collins smiled. I'm not saying you should marry me tomorrow. I'm saying I like you, and I want to know you properly. If this goes somewhere, I want it to go somewhere meaningful. Juliana studied him quietly. There was something refreshing about his honesty. So you're always this straightforward? Only when I see something I don't want to lose. Her cheeks warmed. Collins, what? You talk too much. He laughed. But you're smiling. Their conversation continued until they suddenly realized how late it had become. After their dinner, Collins dropped her off. I had a beautiful evening, she said. So did I. Good night, Collins. Good night, Juliana. Then he drove away. But that night both of them went home with the same foolish smile on their faces, and butterflies neither was ready to admit had already begun. The weeks that followed passed quickly. Collins and Juliana spoke every day. Sometimes their conversations lasted until midnight. Other times, Collins would drive to the salon sometimes, just to say hello. You came all this way to say hello? Juliana asked one evening. No, Collins replied. I came to confirm that you're still beautiful." She laughed. "You need help." "Probably, but I think you're the help I need." "Collins." Being around each other became easy. They talked about family, money, children, faith, their fears, and the kind of future they wanted. Collins loved that Juliana was hardworking and independent. Juliana admired how intentional he was. One evening they sat together at a quiet restaurant after dinner, when Collins suddenly reached across the table and held her hand. Juliana immediately noticed the seriousness in his eyes. "What is it?" "Juliana, I know people will say this is fast." Her heart began beating harder. But sometimes time doesn't tell you what your heart already knows. "Collins, please let me finish before I lose courage." She smiled nervously. Collins took a breath. "I came to Nigeria thinking I needed a break. Marriage was the last thing on my mind. Then I walked into that salon and saw you." Juliana's eyes softened. "I don't want to go back to America and leave what could be the best thing that has ever happened to me behind." Then came the question, "Juliana, will you be my wife?" For several seconds, she simply stared at him. "Are you serious?" "I've never been more serious." Tears gathered in her eyes. "Yes." Collins blinked. "Yes?" She laughed through her tears. "Yes, Collins, I will marry you." He pulled her into his arms, and for that moment, everything seemed perfect. A few days later, Collins decided it was time for Juliana to meet his parents. When they arrived, Collins's father welcomed Juliana warmly. "So this is the young woman who has been keeping my son away from home?" "Papa," Collins protested. Juliana laughed nervously. "Good afternoon, sir." "Welcome, my daughter. Please come inside." His mother greeted her too, but Collins noticed immediately that her smile did not reach her eyes. During the visit, his father kept the conversation alive. "So, Juliana, Collins tells us you're a hairstylist." "Yes, sir. I've been doing it professionally for some years now." "Good. There is dignity in honest work." "Thank you, sir." His father asked about her family, her ambitions, and her plans for the future. Juliana answered respectfully, gradually becoming more relaxed. Collins watched her with quiet pride. His mother, however, mostly observed. After Juliana left, Collins eagerly asked his parents what they thought of her. His father was impressed. He saw Juliana as respectful, hard-working, and well-mannered, but his mother felt completely differently. "I don't trust her," she said. She feared Collins was rushing into marriage with a woman he barely knew, warning him that Juliana could be interested in his money or hiding something from him. Collins defended Juliana, insisting she had never asked him for money and had not even known he lived in America when they met. His father urged his wife to give Juliana a fair chance, but she refused to change her mind. Instead of frightening Collins, however, his mother's warning only strengthened his decision. As far as he was concerned, Juliana was the woman he wanted, and nothing was going to change that. A few days later, Collins noticed that Juliana was unusually quiet during dinner. When he pressed her to tell him what was wrong, she finally admitted that his mother's cold behavior had unsettled her. Juliana feared that marrying Collins would mean spending the rest of her life trying to earn his mother's acceptance. She cared deeply about him, but she did not want to enter a family where she already felt unwanted. Collins reassured her that his mother was only being protective because he was her only child. He promised that she would eventually come around and urged Juliana not to give up on them. Reluctantly, Juliana chose to trust him. She smiled and said, "Okay." But neither of them knew just how difficult keeping that promise would become. That night, Collins went straight to his mother. "Mama, can we talk?" She looked up from where she was sitting. "If this is about Juliana—" "It is." His mother sighed. Collins sat beside her. "Mama, I'm asking you. Please give her a chance. I've told you how I feel. And I've heard you." But she felt unwelcome in this house. His mother's expression shifted slightly. "I didn't insult her." "You didn't have to. She noticed?" His mother remained silent. "Mama, I love this woman." You barely know her. Then let me decide that for myself." His mother stared at him. "You think I'm trying to control you? I think you're afraid." "I am afraid," she replied. "You are my only child. You came home from America, met a woman within weeks, and now you're talking about marriage. You expect me not to worry?" Collins softened. "I understand, but worrying about me and rejecting Juliana are two different things." His mother looked away. Silence settled between them. Finally, his mother sighed. "You have chosen her already, haven't you?" Collins nodded. "Yes." She studied her son's face and realized there was little she could say to change his mind. "Then who am I to say no?" she murmured. Collins smiled and hugged her. "Thank you, Mama." Collins and Juliana finally got married. The wedding was simple but beautiful, surrounded by family and friends. Collins couldn't stop smiling as he looked at his new wife. Juliana was equally happy, but one thing still bothered her: Collins's mother. She attended the wedding and played her role, but her coldness toward Juliana was impossible to miss. That night, when Collins and Juliana were finally alone, Juliana brought it up. "Your mother still doesn't like me." Collins sighed and pulled her closer. "Don't worry about Mama. Give her time." "But you're leaving soon, Collins. I'll be here without you." "Not for long," he reassured her. "Once I get back to the States, I'll continue your paperwork. As soon as everything is approved, you'll join me." Juliana looked at him. "Promise?" "I promise. Just be patient until then." She nodded and rested against him, holding tightly to those words. Before long, Collins's return date arrived. At the airport, Juliana struggled to hold back her tears. "I wish you didn't have to leave so soon." Collins held her close. "It's only temporary. Before you know it, we'll be together again. Call me when you land." "I will." He kissed her forehead. "And please, try to get along with Mama." Juliana gave him a small smile. "I'll try." "I love you. I love you too." She stood there watching until Collins disappeared from sight. Then she returned home without the love of her life. 2 weeks after Collins returned to America, Juliana discovered she was pregnant. She stared at the test result for several seconds, trembling, pregnant. Her eyes filled with tears as she placed a hand over her stomach. Collins is going to be a father. She wanted to call him immediately, but another thought crossed her mind. She would tell his parents first, out of respect, then surprise Collins with the news herself. That evening she visited them. Her father-in-law immediately noticed her excitement. "Juliana, you look like someone carrying good news." She smiled nervously. "Papa, Mama, I'm pregnant." His face lit up. "Pregnant?" "Yes, Papa." He stood excitedly. "This is wonderful news. Have you told Collins?" "Not yet. I wanted both of you to know first." Before he could respond, Rebecca, Collins's mother, gave a cold laugh. "Of course you haven't told him." Juliana's smile disappeared. "Mama?" Rebecca stared at her. "So this is it?" "I don't understand." "You think because you married my son quickly, you can now bring another man's pregnancy and pin it on him?" Juliana froze. "Rebecca," her husband shouted, but she continued. "My son met you only weeks before marrying you, and suddenly you're pregnant? Mama, Collins is my husband. And does that automatically make every pregnancy his?" Juliana's eyes filled with tears. "I have never been with another man since I met your son, never." Rebecca folded her arms. "Then why didn't you tell your husband first? Instead you rushed here. Are you afraid to tell him?" "No." Juliana's voice broke. "I came here because I respect both of you. I thought you deserved to hear the news from me before I called him." Her father-in-law stepped forward. "Enough, Rebecca. What kind of accusation is this?" "I am protecting my son." "From his own wife?" Rebecca ignored him. "Juliana, if you know what is good for you, tell us the truth, now." Juliana stared at her in disbelief. "What truth? Collins is the father of my child. You expect me to believe that?" Juliana wiped her tears. "I don't care what you believe anymore. I know my truth, and so does God." She picked up her handbag and walked toward the door. Her father-in-law called after her, but she didn't turn back. Rebecca had taken what should have been one of the happiest moments of Juliana's life and poisoned it with suspicion. The moment Juliana left, Rebecca picked up her phone and called Collins. "Mama, is everything okay?" "Your wife came here today." Collins sat upright. "Juliana, is she okay?" "She says she's pregnant." For a second, Collins was silent. Then his voice rose with excitement. "Pregnant? Mama, are you serious? I'm going to be a father?" "Collins, what exactly are you celebrating?" His smile faded. "What do you mean? Think. You barely knew this girl before marrying her. You've only been gone for 2 weeks, and suddenly she's pregnant." "Mama, she's my wife." "Then why didn't she tell you first?" Collins paused. "She came here to tell us before telling her own husband. Why? Because she's afraid. She knows what she did." "Mama, stop. Juliana wouldn't do that. I have warned you. Use your head." Collins defended Juliana, but after the call ended, his mother's words refused to leave him. Why hadn't Juliana told him first? He hated himself for even wondering. Still, he called her. She answered cheerfully. "Hey, baby, what's up?" "Juliana." She immediately noticed his tone. "What happened? Are you pregnant?" Silence. Then she smiled. "So Mama told you?" "Yes, I am. I wanted to surprise you myself, but I thought I should tell your parents first. I was going to call you tonight." Collins swallowed. "Juliana? Is the baby mine?" The silence that followed was different, heavy, painful. "What did you just ask me?" "Juliana, don't misunderstand me." "Then explain it." Collins rubbed his forehead. "We were together only once, now you're pregnant. I'm just confused." Juliana couldn't believe what she was hearing. "Only once?" she repeated. "Collins, do you hear yourself? How many times does it take for a woman to become pregnant?" "That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean?" "I just need to be sure." "Sure of what? That I didn't sleep with another man?" "Juliana." "No, answer me. Is that what you think?" "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." Her voice cracked. "You married me, Collins. You told me you trusted me. Now your mother says something and suddenly my pregnancy is suspicious. This isn't about my mother." Juliana laughed bitterly. "Really? Because you didn't know I was pregnant until she called you. And the first thing you did wasn't to congratulate me. You called to ask if the child was yours." Collins became quiet. "Juliana, I'm only asking a question." "And I'm giving you an answer. Yes, Collins, the baby is yours. I have not been with another man." "I trust you, but..." "But what?" That single word hung between them. Juliana wiped her tears. If you trusted me, there wouldn't be a but. Juliana, please, don't call me that. Juliana, let's talk calmly. I have nothing else to say. She ended the call. Collins stared at his phone. Thousands of miles away, Juliana broke down in tears. And for the first time since their marriage, something dangerous had entered between them. Doubt. Days passed, but the tension between Collins and Juliana only grew worse. One evening, Collins's father called him. My son, I need to ask you something. What exactly has Juliana done to deserve this? Papa, I'm confused. Confused about your own wife? Collins sighed. Everything happened so quickly. I don't know what to think. You married that woman because you said you trusted her. Now your mother raises a suspicion, and suddenly you're questioning the pregnancy. Before Collins could answer, Rebecca walked into the room. Give me the phone. Her husband frowned. Rebecca, don't start. Give it to me. She took the phone. Collins, listen to me. Don't allow that girl to deceive you. Mama, please. I know women like her. If Juliana is so sure that child belongs to you, then there is one simple solution. Collins became quiet. A DNA test. Mama, after the baby is born, do the test. Science does not lie. If the child is yours, everyone will rest. Her husband shook his head. You're going too far. But Collins said nothing, and that silence was enough. Later that night, Collins called Juliana. I think we should do a DNA test after the baby is born. Juliana froze. What? Just so we can put all this behind us. We? She laughed bitterly. Who is we, Collins? You and your mother? Please don't turn this into something else. Something else? My husband is asking me to prove that the child inside me belongs to him. If you're sure, then the test shouldn't be a problem. Juliana felt as though he had slapped her. So that's where we are now. Juliana, no, let me speak. I defended you when people said I was foolish for marrying a man I had known for such a short time. I trusted you. Now, when I'm carrying your child, you're treating me like I committed a crime. Collins rubbed his forehead. I just want peace. And you think humiliating me will give you peace? Silence. Then Collins said something that completely shattered her. For now, I'm also putting your travel arrangements on hold. Juliana's breath caught. What? Let's clear everything first. Once the baby comes and the DNA confirms everything, we'll continue. Tears rolled down her cheeks. You're stopping my papers because you think I cheated on you. I'm not saying you cheated. Then what are you saying? Collins had no answer. Juliana wiped her face. Fine. Fine. I'll do your DNA test. Her voice had suddenly become calm, and somehow that frightened Collins more than her anger. I'll do it because I know who the father of my child is, not because I owe your mother an explanation, and not because I deserve this. Juliana. But when that result comes out, Collins, remember this moment. Remember that while I was carrying your child, you chose suspicion over me. She ended the call. Collins remained still, staring at his phone. Back in Nigeria, Juliana placed both hands over her growing belly and cried. The DNA test would eventually reveal the truth. Months passed, and Juliana eventually gave birth to a healthy baby boy. For a brief moment, holding her son made her forget everything. The accusations, the arguments, the distance between her and Collins. But the peace didn't last. It was time for the DNA test. Since Collins was still in the United States, his father's sample was used to establish whether the baby was biologically related to Collins's paternal family. Juliana agreed without hesitation. Samples were collected and sent to the laboratory. For Juliana, there was nothing to fear. "I know who my child's father is," she said firmly. "Do whatever test you want." Days later, the family was called in for the result. Juliana sat with her newborn son, sleeping peacefully in her arms. Rebecca sat opposite her, watching quietly. Collins' father was beside them, visibly tense. Thousands of miles away in America, Collins waited for the phone call that would finally settle everything. The doctor picked up the report. He read the first page, then the second. Suddenly his expression changed. Juliana noticed. "Doctor, what is it?" He looked at the report again before slowly raising his eyes. "I'm afraid the result does not establish the expected biological relationship." The room went completely silent. Rebecca's eyes widened. Juliana froze. Juliana froze. After everything she'd endured, the test that was supposed to clear her name had only made things worse. But was that result really telling the whole story? This story is not over. Watch out for part 2, because what happens next changes everything. What do you think happened? Tell me your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to African Tales by Chinwa, so you don't miss part 2.